Welcome to Behind the Curtain, Nashville's movers, shakers,
and tastemakers.
Brought to you by Cord Real Estate, your key to the heart of Nashville. I'm Steve Luther alongside my co-host Van Hoy.
Here we peel back the layers of Nashville's vibrant scene, sitting down with the innovators, creators, and leaders who shape our city. From music to business and everything in between, we dive into the journeys that have brought them to where they are today.
We're here to uncover the stories behind the success, the passion driving their pursuits, and why they've chosen Nashville as their stage. It's about the people who dream big, push boundaries, and make this city truly unique.
So join us as we explore the heart and soul of Nashville through the eyes of those who know it best.
Well, today on the show, we're excited to feature Bryan Clayton, the visionary CEO and co-founder of GreenPal, an innovative online marketplace often dubbed the Uber for lawn care.
Uber.
With over 300,000 active users and thousands of transactions daily, GreenPal is transforming the way homeowners connect with lawn care professionals. Before launching GreenPal, Bryan founded Peachtree Inc., one of Tennessee's largest landscaping companies, which he grew to over $10 million in annual revenue before its acquisition in 2013. With a passion for entrepreneurship, small business growth, and leveraging technology to modernize traditional industries, Bryan's journey is a testament to the power of innovation and strategic vision. Bryan, welcome to the show.
What is up, guys? Thanks for having me on. Great to be here.
Absolutely. So let's just kind of jump in. What was the inspiration behind GreenPal, and how did your experiences with Peachtree kind of influence the creation?
Yeah, so GreenPal was born out of my experience running Peachtree. So I rewind all the way back to 1995. I started my first business mowing yards because my dad forced me to. He got tired of watching me play Nintendo. He said, "Hey, get off your butt."
Were you in Atlanta? Is that why the Peachtree?
Well, it's funny. I saw a sign in Atlanta with Peachtree.
Oh, yeah.
I thought that is a classy name. I want to name my landscaping business that.
Everything there is named Peachtree.
We had a lot of streets named Peachtree.
Yeah. And so that's where the inspiration came from. But
cool.
No, actually Murfreesboro is where I grew up. And yeah, he said, "Hey, get off your butt. I got a gig for you. You're going to go mow the neighbor's yard." Made me go mow the neighbor's grass. And luckily he did. I got paid $20 for like an hour's worth of work.
Yeah.
In 1995, that was a lot of money.
That was good money, yeah.
And I was hooked. I was hooked ever since then. I passed out a bunch of flyers and had maybe a dozen customers that first summer and just kept growing that lawn mowing business little by little, year over year. And over a 15-year period of time, grew it to about 150 employees, around $10 million a year in sales. And then in 2013, a national company in the landscaping business came knocking and wanted to buy it. And so it took about a year to get that done, but sold it to them. And after that, I took some time off. Didn't know what I wanted to do. I thought I was going to do real estate investing, honestly. And I did that. I actually took all the money that I made selling the landscaping business and plowed it all into real estate, bought a bunch of single family houses. And then I was very like cash poor again. I didn't have any money. And I was also bored because all these houses were kind of like doing their thing and I didn't have really anything to do. And I thought, well, this sucks. I don't have really a reason to get out of bed. There's nobody depending on me. I don't have a passion. So I need to start another business. And so I remember I went to a conference in San Francisco and I was at the airport and I heard about this thing, Uber. And this was 2012. Downloaded the app and magically a car showed up and picked me up, took me to my hotel. And I thought that was incredible.
Yeah.
And I was thinking somebody's going to do this for lawn mowing. And it was kind of naivete as an asset. I didn't really understand how challenging it was to make that magic behind the scenes happen. But I thought, I'm going to do this. And I told two friends about it. And they said, that idea is awesome. I will quit my job tomorrow and I will do this with you. And so two co-founders and I started working on the Uber for lawn care here in Nashville, Tennessee. We rented an office in Germantown that at the time was a little tech accelerator. We had the three of us worked out of about a 200 square foot windowless office, about half the size of this room, and just grinded on it, kept making it better and better and better, and set a goal for 100 customers. We wanted to get 100 customers here in Nashville, and that took 2 years, but kept doubling that number. And now GreenPal is a 10-year overnight success. We're nationwide in the United States. And around 300,000 people using the app to get lawn mowing. Yeah. So 22 years.
Right.
22 years, started off with a push mower in Murfreesboro, Tennessee.
I love it.
It's a very cool concept. I downloaded the app the other day when I talked to you, and I mean, it's super simple to use. It's a great idea. You don't often think of the guy, mowing the lawns as the techie guy. What were some of the challenges you dealt with trying to integrate those two worlds?
Yeah, that was, I knew that was going to be hard because I didn't know how to write software. Mm-hmm. And I thought, so a couple things. I thought we could just pay a development shop to build the tech.
Sure.
And so we did that here in Nashville. There was a dev shop on over there near Printer's Alley. And we went over to these guys' office. They had a beautiful office, and we sat down with them and pitched them on our vision. And they were like, yeah, we can build that. And long story short, it was 14 months and $150,000. Mm. And they delivered this app that barely worked. And we launched that, using quotations marks here. We launched that here in Nashville, and we passed out door hangers all over Nashville. First place we went was Brentwood. I thought that's where our customer was.
Right.
And quickly learned that's not where our customer was. Our customer was in the more up and coming parts of Nashville. And we actually started seeing more uptake in like East Nashville, and more people were using it over there. We would get maybe 20 people over there to one person in Franklin or Brentwood.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so that was the first thing we learned. But the main lesson we learned was that to be in the tech business, we were going to have to learn how to execute tech. We were going to have to learn how to write software. And there was just it'd be kind of like starting a restaurant, wanting to start a new restaurant here on Broadway and not having a chef. Mm. You have to have recipes. You have to have a chef at the core competency of the business. And we didn't have that. We didn't have recipes. We didn't have a chef. Mm-hmm. And so my co-founder went to, I don't know if it still exists, but it was called Nashville Software School. And he put $8,000 on his credit card. He didn't have it, but he put $8,000 on his credit card. And he went to Nashville Software School all day long, 5 days a week, and then practiced what he was learning, rebuilding the app. And then I went to YouTube University and was learning the things that complemented what he was learning. And I became the world's most terrible front-end web developer.
Incredible.
And between the two of us, it took 2 years, but we rebuilt the whole thing and learned how to code. And just enough to where we could iterate and make the thing better and better and better, and then build out a team around us. And,
right.
And that's kind of what we had to do. Looking back, it's kind of like this. It's kind of like we're in Nashville and we get 100 people a week moving here. They want to be the next big thing. They want to be the next big country music star. And they think, okay, well, I gotta learn how to write songs, and I gotta learn how to play the guitar. I gotta learn how to play guitar and sing. I gotta learn how to write songs, play the guitar and sing, and be good on stage. And I gotta get a record deal. And they think all that's the hard part. And what they realize, no, the hard part is getting 10 people to show up at a show.
Right.
And that's what we learned. We thought the hard part was going to be writing the code, designing the software, picking out the color scheme, figuring out the user experience, what our company culture was, all of these things, recruiting. No, that was all the easy stuff. That was the writing the music. That was the booking the studio time. That was the song, the learning how to do vocals and play the guitar. That stuff's hard, but that was the easy part. The hard part was getting 100 people to use it. That was 100 times harder. Mm. And so the way we did that, we just passed out door hangers until we started figuring out, okay, this is how we're gonna attract people to the website, how we're going to market to people and meet them where they're at. It took a long time and a lot of trial and error, but now that's the same strategy that we use today to get thousands of people a day sign up.
Now, on a marketplace like this, obviously convenience is a part of it, transparency, quality. How do you manage, making sure that there is trust and reliability on the platform with the people that you're booking these services with?
Yeah, you wouldn't think it, but it's actually on both sides. So it's not just on the service provider side. That's a big part of it, but it's also on the consumer side. So on the service provider side, there's a minimal kind of threshold. They have to be in business. They have to have a legitimate social security number. They have to have the right equipment. They have to validate all these things before they sign up. And that's very minimal. But once they're on the platform, the system then scores them rigorously in a way that nowhere else is done. Let's just back up for a second. If you want to hire a lawn care service, you would call around on Craigslist, Yelp, Facebook, maybe ask friends and family, and you would just kind of like, call them, negotiate the price, and hope they show up. You don't really know if that was the best price, and you don't really know if they're going to show up. You don't really know if they're reliable or not. Well, on GreenPal, the platform scores, do they show up on time? What do people say about their service? We have a standard 1 through 5 star rating system. And then another important metric that we score is, do they get booked for a second, third, and fourth visit? That's an indication of, are they making their customers happy on the platform? And so these 3 metrics combined with a bunch of others help us promote the ones that are good on the platform and demote the ones that aren't so good through an algorithm, and then expel the ones that just don't take this business seriously. And so as the consumer, you can come onto the platform, download the app, and you get to sidestep a lot of this kind of like headache that goes into getting this service done. It's not these people's fault. Nobody teaches us how to run a small business. We're not taught how to run a business in high school. We're not taught how to run a business in college. And so it's kind of like consumers have to teach these guys and gals how to run a landscaping business. Well, with GreenPal, it's kind of like the good ones are promoted, the bad ones are demoted and expelled. So it's always kind of improving itself. And that's the value that we bring to the table. Now, on the consumer side, there's a lot of consumers that if you let them, we're sitting here in springtime, they'll wait until June 1st for their first mowing when the grass is 4 feet tall.
Hey, right.
We talked about property management before before we got on the pod, and then they will. They'll get it mowed, and then they'll call their service provider back in October when it's 4 feet tall again. And so it's our platform's job to screen out that bad behavior, because that service providers hate that. They can't make a living doing that. So it's on both sides of the transaction.
Now, do you find this is more of a service for people that need like a one-off? Do you get a lot of repeat business? Like I can think of like many times where either we're flipping a property or we're representing a seller and they've moved out and we're getting ready to close. It's like, oh crap, they didn't do the yard. We got to get the yard done.
Right.
And you can't always get your regular guy to get out there and it's noticed.
Sure can.
So something like this, I mean, it's awesome.
Yeah. So the bread and butter is your basic every week or every 2 weeks or every 10 days, basic lawn mowing. So like I mentioned earlier, when we were trying to figure out who the user was, who the customer was, first place we went was where my old customers were: Brentwood, Franklin, Williamson County. These are folks with discretionary income. They have private gardening services. They spend a lot of money on landscape maintenance.
Right.
Well, their landscape contractor calls them back.
Right.
They're spending $5,000 or $10,000 a year on landscaping services.
At least, yeah.
They don't have the problem of the disappearing lawn guy.
Yeah.
Right.
So they don't need a nap. They don't need a nap to solve this problem.
Plus, they want to know that person.
Yeah. They maybe they want to walk around the backyard with a cocktail with them after they're done, and things like that. It's what we came to find out was it's more the working class, dual income household that just doesn't have time to mow, that doesn't want to spend a whole lot of money, maybe every 2 weeks, $40 a visit, $80 a month, 7 months out of the year. That's the bread and butter. That's the use case.
Mow, trim, blow.
Yeah. And because traditionally speaking, contractors have a tough time getting margin on those types of stops.
Got it.
Because they're kind of one-off, like you mentioned earlier. They're hard to organize in one place. It's hard to get paid on them because you don't really remember how many times you mowed it last month, and you mailed the person an invoice and that invoice gets lost, or your bookkeeping is sloppy and you forget to invoice them.
Right.
If you guys are in property maintenance, that a lot of times vendors forget to invoice you for stuff. So it's our system's job to make all of this mess just kind of happen, where vendors get paid within 24 hours of the work they do. And so that's the bread and butter use case. And we've built a business of hundreds of thousands of these folks that just want that type of service. Yes, you can use it one time, but it's built for the cadence of every week or every 2 weeks, set it and forget it. It's not like a private gardener. It's just, let's just have a nice and neat lawn mowing done where I don't have to worry about it anymore.
Right.
It's awesome. What a great idea.
When you were going through this build out and kind of getting your feet under you, was there a pivot point, an aha moment that's sort of changed your trajectory of where you decided to take the business? Or
yeah, so there was a couple. The first was when we first started, we thought we were going to do kind of this Silicon Valley thing where we were going to go raise a bunch of money and raise a angel round of funding and then raise a Series A, Series B, and so on. And that's kind of what we did. We, quite frankly, we didn't do it very well, but we were kind of bought into that. Mm-hmm. And so we would reach out to Silicon Valley investors, and they would say, well, you need to get your local investors excited first. So we did that. And so I would go door to door to the 3 tech investors we have in Nashville and talk to all 3 of them. And they say, yeah, it's pretty cool, but yeah, it's not for us. And so these conversations were really short. And I'm like, man, what the hell am I doing? I'm wasting all my time, like running around town trying to get investor interest when I just need to get customer interest. I need to build something that solves a problem for consumers and get some sales, and then everything else will take care of itself. So that was one of the first major pivots. Was we decided early on, I didn't want to build something that had any pressure exerted on it that wasn't from customers. Mm-hmm. And that was a deviation from what I first thought we were going to do. The second thing was who I thought our customer was. I thought it was going to be folks that live in $1 million plus homes. As it turns out, no, it was more your working class neighborhoods. Thousands and thousands. And here in Nashville, we have probably 20,000 people using the app. A lot of people in East Nashville that just want a basic lawn mowing service. Right. They were underserved. Nobody would call them back. Right. They would call 20 vendors, and one would call them back and give them a price and say, I'll show up, and ghost them. That's right. Over and over and over again. So that was a surprise. And the third thing that was a surprise was just how long it took. What ended up taking us 10, 11 years, I thought would take 2. So I wish I'd known that I could have managed my expectations. There's a quote, I don't know who said it, but success is expectations minus results. And so what did you expect to happen? What actually happened? That's success. I could have calibrated that a little bit better.
Man. So do you do things other than just mow, trim, blow? Do you do leaves? Do you guys do other?
The system will help you get anything you need done, but the initial lawn mowing is the on-ramp.
Got it.
So if it does everything, it does nothing. And so when somebody comes to your website, downloads your app, you have to answer 3 questions in 3 seconds. Where am I? What can I do here? Why does it matter? And so GreenPal is the easiest way to get a grass cutting service to mow your yard today, even if it's 4 feet tall. That's it. That's what it does. And now after you get that done, you're going to need other stuff. You're going to need shrubs, mulch, seed, gutters.
Right.
And so we've built out the system to enable you to layer on those other things with your contractor.
Got it.
As that relationship grows. We don't put those things on the front, on the homepage, because one, it's hard to drive like that Uber experience. Like an Uber for shrub pruning is really hard because it's just hard to quote that without an in-person visit. Mm-hmm. But lawn mowing, you can. Lawn mowing, we can extract enough data around, okay, here's what it looks like from the satellite. Here's what it looks like from the street. Here's the square footage. Here's how long it's been since it was last mowed. And the contractor can get within a couple of bucks of what it's going to cost to mow that yard. Mulching or leaves or seeding, he kind of needs to be out there.
Got it.
And it's going to be hard to get somebody to just walk around your yard and give you a free price on all this stuff.
Yeah.
And it's unless you have a relationship with them.
Sure.
That's where the mowing kind of is the on-ramp for all that.
I love it. So how far are you nationwide?
Any city with over 15,000 people, you can use GreenPal.
Incredible.
Yeah.
Now you guys have snow blowing on there as an option as well. Grass cutting for the colder climates when it's, when you can't cut grass.
Yep. That's right. We built that a couple of years ago. And the reason we built it was because PR is a big part of our strategy. in terms of getting awareness around what is GreenPal. Like I mentioned earlier, the biggest part is getting 100 people to show up at a show. So how do you get people to know about GreenPal? That's our biggest challenge. And so we thought, well, when it snows, people go crazy in every city, not just Nashville, especially.
Oh, yeah.
And so if we had a solution for that, we can get ourselves in the news a lot. And it worked. We built the solution where you can quickly get prices for snow plowing contractors and hire them to come plow your driveway. We don't make a lot of money on that, but it did work from a PR standpoint where it got us in USA Today. It got us in a lot of national coverage. And then also, the Chicago Tribune and every major newspaper in the North at some point in time ended up covering it because we pitched them on the story.
It's awesome.
So you started in Nashville. I mean, this is kind of where you grew your landscaping business. But once you sort of hit that critical mass and you've got a client base across the country, what led you to stay in Nashville with the company? Like, you could have taken it at that point to a tech hub at Silicon Valley, where you've got a lot of software developers to continue to work on it. What was the decision to stay in Nashville?
Yeah, I think if you want to build an AI company today, like you wanting to build a learned language model or something like that, you need to be in Silicon Valley. I mean, that's all there is to it. If you're trying to build an app that roofing contractors love to use, Nashville's a great place to be because you can operate a little more cheaply here. Mm-hmm. It's a little more. It's a little easier to survive. It's a little more straightforward in terms of how you approach it, in terms of how you network. And whereas you can get lost in kind of like everything that's going on in some of these bigger markets. For us, once we started getting traction, it was working. It became clear to us that this was not a journey of like trying to find the silver bullet. It was lead bullets. This is just going to be a grind of growing, of getting users, keeping them, and letting compounding do its thing. And now Nashville's gotten expensive over the last 10, 15 years, that's for sure. But just on a relative basis, it's still cheaper than New York City or even Miami or Silicon Valley.
Well, I would think your client base is growing here too. Yeah. Exponentially.
Well, it's funny. Nashville's still our biggest market in terms of usage. I still cannot figure out why, other than time. Mm-hmm. We did spend 3 years only in Nashville.
Right.
It took us that long to figure out how do we make more people happy than not. Sure. I remember when we were having a meeting in our office, and I was just so upset. I was like just pissed off because we weren't growing fast enough and we weren't launching into new cities. We were still just in Nashville. And I thought, we need to launch our second city. This was year 2. And my co-founder said, we had 100 people use this last week and we pissed off 90 of them.
Right.
There's no reason to go to a second city. And so we had to fix that problem first. And so nail it, then scale it. And so that's what we did. It took a long time, but I think that time spent in the market is why we do more transactions here than anywhere.
How do people trust you guys? Like, I used an app once, not this app, didn't know about it then, wish I did, to find somebody. And they came out, worked at my property, and then I paid them. Then about a week later, they showed up. Their family needed money, knocking on the door, asking for money.
Oh, man.
Yeah. And things started happening. And then I got sick and I'm in the hospital and my wife's calling me, such and such is at the door wanting money. And
oh, man.
Yeah. It got a little awkward there.
Yeah, you got it.
And I met him through the app and I'm like, oh gosh, what do I do now? I say, well, don't make them mad, just give them money. I don't know,
when you're this ain't an Uber ride to the airport,
right?
And it's like, you don't care who picks you up as long as you get there, safe in a car that's clean. This is somebody at your home.
Yeah.
And so you got to read the reviews, man. And the reviews, so you kind of have to do your diligence twice. You need to, if it's a new platform, you kind of need to read the reviews on the platform.
Right.
Trustpilot is a good place. Trustpilot.com is a great place for any website. So you can start there. What are people saying about the platform? And so then the platform's legit. And then you can go, okay, now on the platform, does this guy got one review? I mean, this happened to me on Airbnb the other day where I was like, it's got 3 reviews. It can't be that bad. Well, it was just his 3 buddies, as it turns out. Right. I mean, I was able to reverse engineer what happened here after the experience. I was like, yeah, that was his 3 buddies. And so you want to make sure that you don't fall victim to that. And so, yeah, you gotta read the reviews. Even these platforms enable you to make a good decision, but they don't take it all away for something that it's a considered purchase for somebody coming to your home. Now, if it's an Uber or a DoorDash delivery, who cares? So long as it gets there.
Right.
But yeah.
Well, now that you have 300,000 people using it, you grow to critical mass. So.
Yeah. If you were in 2013, one of the 100 that used it, and one of the 90 we pissed off, it was a learning experience for us. We had to fix that.
That wasn't one of them.
Good. So this whole gig economy and these digital marketplaces are evolving rapidly. What trends do you see kind of coming down the road that are going to impact lawn care and home services in general?
Yeah, I think a couple things. One, I think we're going to see the rise of like the solo, highly profitable business operator. So now you don't have to have a receptionist. You don't have to have a back office person. You don't have to have a marketing person. You don't have to have all of this support staff for a lot of trades industries. So I think like the really lean, mean solo operator that's making $250,000 a year. And I think in 5 years, I think plumbers will make more than lawyers. And I really think you're going to see a reversion back to trades. Back to things that AI can't do. AI can't fix your leak. AI can't fix the leaky roof. Can't fix the leaky pipes. Can't mow the yard yet. It can't do a lot of things. And so, but it's going to be able to do a lot of things that a lot of highly paid people do today. And so I think you're going to see a reversion to a lot of solo operators that do make a good living and do it efficiently with all of these tools. So I think we're in like day one of that.
Interesting. So are you going to transfer this into plumbing and all the other things?
So landscaping, you wouldn't know it, is a $99 billion industry in the United States. And we did a little over $30 million last year. And so we're a drop in the bucket. We're like a red-headed stepchild in this industry. So we got a long way to go.
It's awesome.
Just trying to make it run smoother, getting more people to know about it, getting more people to try it. And so there's no reason for us to go wide. We've got a long way to go.
I love it.
Are you looking at other markets to expand to? Are you thinking about eventually expanding internationally?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So eventually, the model will work in Canada, UK, Australia, and beyond. So we will be launching in those places. But we have a weird thing. It's not one marketplace. It's like 300 marketplaces. In Tennessee, let's say Smyrna is a completely different network than Nolensville, than Brentwood, than Franklin. Yeah, one contractor may service all 3 of those, but he's on different days and stuff. You kind of have to treat every single one of them differently. And we have a weird thing where like we'll do more transactions in a Huntsville, Alabama than we will in a Seattle, Washington. And so we're trying to figure that out. Why is the network humming in this little town, but in this big city it's not? And why is the flywheel not spinning fast enough? So we're in the process of figuring that out, trying to figure out how do we kickstart the flywheel in some of these places where it's not spinning.
Do you personally go out there?
In the early days, we did. I know the inside of every coffee shop of Nashville, Atlanta, Tampa, and Indianapolis. Those were our first 4 markets. And so meeting with the first early adopting vendors, early adopting homeowners, we let that feedback guide us. That was our free R&D. But as time went on, we developed a playbook where we could do these things remotely and do it quicker and cheaper. So cool. We don't have to do that anymore.
You talked about at some point, plumbers learn more than lawyers. It's kind of interesting to see how, education in trades is just not what it used to be when I was younger. And I think there's a lot of conversation around this now. Do you think we're going to see schools bringing vocational studies back in. I guess we've got TCAT here, so there's a lot of a little bit of that trade option out there for that. But do you see? I think there's a huge demand for that.
I sure hope so. I really do. Most college degrees don't pay for themselves.
Yeah,
and really aren't necessary. When I'm hiring, I don't care if you went to college or where you went to college. I care, what have you done? What have you built? What does your online profile look like? What have you tinkered with? What are your hobbies? What have you experienced? Like, I want to see evidence of what you have done. I don't care if you went to school or where or what. And I think that's most employers. And so I think, it's no surprise to anybody that student loans are out of whack and that they're not worth what they cost these days for most degrees. And so sure. I hope we see a reversion to training people how to fix an air conditioner, or how to fix cars, or how to run a small business would be nice. Nobody teaches us, how to. That's one of the cool things about the landscaping business. You can learn 80% of what it takes to run any small business in the landscaping business. Run a business like that for a year, cut your teeth on it, and then go start a big real estate company or something, So it'd be nice to see that. I don't know. It's certainly, innovation and education certainly doesn't seem to be a trend. So I guess we'll cross our fingers.
Now, as an entrepreneur, what advice would you give individuals wanting to start a tech-enabled service platform in Nashville? Like, what are some of the things you've figured out over the years that you wish you would have known going into this?
Nashville's a great place to do it. It's a great place to experiment. It's a great place to kind of exist. Mark Cuban says the least you can live on, the greater your options. So I'm not saying you got to live in 12 South. Maybe you go live in a cheaper part of town, and so this is a great place to get started, to go from zero to one.
That's right.
And to treat everything as an experiment is how I would say is how you should get started. If you show me an experimenter, a never-ending experimenter, I'll show you a winner. Like that's what it takes to kind of get started and to figure out what the hell it is you're doing. We were talking about how you guys got started here, 8 years ago, how fast that went by, but I'm sure you didn't know all of the answers as to what it was going to take to make this place tick. And so you just kind of went in there and started putting the reps in, and you learned as you went. And so if you can kind of take on that mindset of, I'm just going to experiment my way to success, I think that works, especially here in Nashville, because you can do it cheaper here than in most places.
I always say I fumbled my way forward.
Now, beyond GreenPal, you've been involved in mentoring and supporting other startups. What are some of the common traits you see in entrepreneurs that are successful? Like, when you're working with these guys, what are some things you can point to? Like, oh yeah, I know they're going to make it because they've got it.
Yeah, they're pissed off when things aren't moving forward. They're just they're just upset when things aren't happening. Whereas some people, that doesn't bother them. They're just fine with things just being status quo. But somebody who's going to make it is just discontent if we're at the same numbers this week that we were at last week. And they're just upset by that. And they're willing to do whatever it takes to figure out why that is. And they have a strong vision as to where we're going. You can be the nicest guy in the world, but if you don't have a strong kind of like vision as to what the future looks like, nobody's going to join your team. And so that's something that I see in the guys and gals that make it, is that they're just upset if things aren't progressing naturally, genuinely
hungry.
Yeah. Hungry. They're hungry, but they are naturally not happy when things aren't moving forward.
What do you see long term? What's the vision for GreenPal? Where do you want to, be 20, 30 years from now?
Wow.
Yeah, well, I hope I'm still running this thing 20 years from now. So for me, when I sold my landscaping business and I tried to kind of half retire, I made a decision. I was just going to work on my best idea, no matter what. Fortunately, I'm not terribly bright or creative. I've had one good idea in a decade. This is it. This is all I got. So I just woke up every morning and kept working on this. But I haven't really worked a day in 10 years. This is what I wanted to do. And so I'm going to keep doing it. so long as I'm having fun doing it. I've had some 100-hour weeks, so there's been some long grindy periods, but yeah, we're at 300,000 people using it. I want to be at 1 million. I feel like 1 million just feels like we'll be at the start of touching the mass market. My landscaping business was a good size small business, but this time around I wanted to build something that could reach scale, and I don't think we're there yet. So we've got a long way to go.
I love it.
What's the best way for somebody to hold you? If it's a vendor that wants to be on your platform, or as a consumer, where do they go?
GreenPal.com. You can just click the orange button, free quotes. And if you're a pro, just scroll to the bottom, click apply as a vendor, and it's free to sign up.
And your app is on iPhone and Android.
Yep. Just search GreenPal in the store.
Awesome.
A true mover, shaker, and tastemaker right here.
Oh, well, thank you so much, guys, for having me on. This was fun.
Absolutely. Well, we appreciate you being here, and we will see you guys next time.
Yes.
Well, that's a wrap on today's episode of Behind the Curtain, Nashville's Movers, Shakers,
And tastemakers.
We hope you've been inspired by the stories of passion, perseverance, and innovation right here in Nashville.
A big thank you to our guests for sharing their journeys, and to you, our listeners, for joining us. And of course, our gratitude to Cord Real Estate for making this conversation possible.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe to our podcast on your favorite platform.
Thank us?
Yes, you did.
Oh, I guess I did. Well, thank us. Okay.
Like I was saying.
Oh, yeah.
Don't forget to follow or subscribe on your favorite platform to catch every episode, and hit that notification bell. We've got plenty more fascinating guests lined up, ready to share their insights and inspirations.
And we love hearing from you, so reach out to us with your thoughts, questions, or suggestions for who you'd like to hear from next.
Until next time, keep chasing your dreams and making your mark in Nashville.
Oh, my goodness.
Remember,
I'm talking to Casey
it's
Kasem.
the people behind the scenes that make the city shine.
I love it. Take care. See you behind the curtain.